do this together. So great to see everybody, and welcome along tonight. Alrighty, so we know the drill. Okay, so we're going to look at a new psalm, take a closer look, do an initial run through, just get your first impressions, then we'll take a closer look at it, see if there's some other connections in the Bible, and sort of reflect on it a little bit as well. How's this landing for us? We've got something practical today as well that we'll have a bit of a chat about as well, so I look forward to that. And let's go ahead and have a look at the Psalms. So here we are in Psalm 24. And the text is coming from the ESV. I encourage you to follow along, and in whichever translation you like. But I'll have this one on the screen. So let's go ahead. Psalm 24. Okay. All right. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the rivers. Who shall ascend the hill of the Lord, and who shall stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul to what is false, and does not swear deceitfully. He will receive blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek the face of the God of Jacob. Selah. Lift up your heads, O gates, and be lifted up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord, strong and mighty, the Lord, mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O gates, and lift them up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. Selah. So that's our psalm tonight, just 10 verses. So yeah, it's got some similarities to psalms we've seen before, but also some differences. So just thinking about this psalm now. First reading, what are you picking up? What stood out? Anything stand out to you as you read the psalm? Any particular words or images coming to mind or particularly resonated for you? Is there any pattern or structure? Doesn't always have to be, but there might be, that you noticed. Prevailing emotion. What's going on for the Psalms? How does it make you feel? Where did your mind go as we read it? And where did your heart go? So just some prompters there just to think about. So I encourage everybody to just, hearing this psalm, what are you noticing? We'll just open it up.
Having a pure heart.
Having a pure heart. Something very wonderful about that idea, isn't there?
Mm.
Yeah. Any? Do you have any other thoughts about that, Lisa? It just resonated with you as a.
Yeah, often sing in my head, create in me a pure heart. I have it in my head during the day, and if I'm struggling, I sing it in my head.
Mm. Does that remind you of was it a song that it reminded you of? Or
yeah.
Yeah,
create
okay.
in me a
Pure heart, oh Lord, yeah.
Oh my God. Have a new right spirit within me.
Yeah. That's terrific.
Beautiful.
Thanks for that. Awesome. A pure heart. Anybody else?
The first thing, the first verse there, Andrew, basically that everything in the world is God's.
Mm.
And it says everything in the world and everything that lives in it, being all living creatures.
Mm.
So that's an incredible image.
Is that all encompassing? Is that sort of the totality of it? Is that what you're
Yeah, I think so.
getting? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a great opening sort of idea, isn't it? I think, wow, our minds can really go, wow, just think about that, everything. Yeah.
I think it harks back to other scriptures or other parts of the Bible.
Yep.
The beginning to me is like Genesis.
It is.
1
Yes.
and 2. And then 3 is like Moses going up the mountain, who will go up to the mountain of God.
Ah.
Definitely.
You know, a bit like Sinai.
I actually hadn't thought about that, but that's, yep.
You know, not that's a Moses, but I know that, you know, Jesus is a Moses figure.
Yep.
The second Moses, the better Moses. So you sort of see that the people who would have read this would have probably seen the previous context of where it came from.
Definitely. Yeah. I just think that Sinai might be a bit upset. What do you mean you're calling me a hill? I'm a mountain. Don't call me a hill. Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. You're definitely right. There's callbacks, and a few commentators that I read about this, they pick up on that same idea. And we'll talk a little bit about that, the Genesis idea. But I really like that idea of going up and ascending the hill of the Lord. Who could that be? Yeah. Thank you.
I think this one's really different because, you know, David's sort of not, he doesn't seem to be under any threat or pain or suffering as well.
Yeah.
It's so it's, to me, it's doesn't come across as being a lament. You know, it's more about praising God.
Actually, I didn't think about the genre, but it could be. It's almost like a song of ascent. You know, particularly at the end of Psalms, I think there's a lot of these, you know, psalms that are being sung by the people as they're going up to the mountain of you know, going up to the temple. But you're right, very different. Yeah, he's not lying on his bed and despairing of enemies and life and all of that, is he? It's quite a different feel to it. That's really true. Yeah. Anybody else?
For me, it keeps asking who is God? Who are you to follow him? Who, you know, there's lots of who questions in there.
There's some questions. That's right.
Yeah, and
yes.
And then he answers them in such certain terms that it's like he's affirming what he's always known.
Yeah. I wonder if thanks, Nerida. I wonder if, you know, what we read this, when we look at and we see questions like that, who has, do we think, or who may ascend the Lord? There's like verse 3 and verse 4 there. Do we ask ourselves that question, or do we just notice it? Someone else is asking that question of somebody else.
I always think, not me.
Not me.
I'm not blameless. Not me.
Not talking about me. No. But do we ask ourselves the question? That's the question. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's good to do that. You know, it is a question that is being asked by the psalm. Yeah.
My verse 4 is slightly different. It says, "Who has not lifted up his soul to falsehood? Who has not sworn deceitfully?" Yeah.
Falsehood versus an idol. Yeah. So I get
the
idea of
I think we're all guilty of falsehood and deceit.
Right.
But you know, we do have clean hands, I guess, and pure heart through the blood of Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying, I think, Barry, that like we might just gloss straight over the idol word, because of course we don't have any idols, right? But if it's falsehood, that's a little bit different to think about. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I
And-
mean,
Yep, go on. Yep.
yeah, I'm just thinking, how does David view himself? Does David consider himself to be innocent in this matter, to have clean hands and a pure heart?
Yeah, and is it and what is he talking about exactly? Is he talking about sinlessness
It's rhetoric.
before God, or is he just talking about the way he lives life? Yeah.
The question answer technique is called hyperphora. Oh,
Hyperphora.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Wait.
I'm an English teacher, so it's called
Yeah, tell us.
hyperphora. It is. It's called hyperphora, and hyperphora is when you pose a question, but then you answer it straight away.
How do you spell that?
HYPOPHORA.
P-O-P, so it's hypo, and then
Hypophora. It's a Greek HYPOPHORA.
and so below the something, fora.
Wherever that he poses a question, he answers it.
Yeah, okay.
That's called hyperphora.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway,
I'm now interested in the etymology of that word, you said. And maybe the answer comes, because I'm pretty sure hypo, correct me if I'm wrong, is below.
Low, yeah.
Yeah, and so maybe the answer is below the question.
Yeah.
I'm not maybe something like
Well,
that.
you can play with that one later.
Yeah, you can Google it while you're. All right, very good. Anybody else? Well, those are very, very good first pass, I have to say. Okay, well, let's press on and so look at it in a little more detail. Okay, so there's our passage, and so certainly a couple of things I noticed was that certainly verse 1 and 2 is I think it was is it Natalie or Nerida said it about the reference to creation. And so right out of the gate, we're remembering God's creative acts. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. He has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the rivers. And the idea there, I reckon, is that I'm seeing words like, so biblically and in the mindset of the ancient people, they hated the sea. The seas was just this, you might remember when we did order and chaos, right? The seas are this image of chaos and unruliness. And, one of the things in the creation account that, can anybody think what it would be when God created the lands and the earth? And what did he do? He established a boundary.
Separated.
He's separated, yeah. And so God's creating this order and taming and subduing this chaos. I think that's the idea here, is that he's creating this order. And then as Simon said, but what order? Wow, the fullness of everything. And get us really thinking about that. So this is the God we're talking about. Is wonderful, powerful, creative work. Is establishing order amongst chaos. So that's where we start. Then questions. Hypophora, they call it. I'm given to it.
It is. Believe me.
Yeah. An important question. Who can approach God, basically, isn't it? Who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? And who shall stand in his holy place? And just imagine for a moment that you're a little Israelite and maybe there's a temple, maybe it's just a tabernacle, maybe it's just a holy place. And you think, can I go up there? Really? Me? And sort of asking this question, right? So who shall ascend? Who can approach this God? So verse 1 and 2 has painted this incredible picture. And then we think, well, can I approach that God? Right? That's kind of like, whoa, if we really have the, the almightiness in mind from the creation, it's quite an honest question, isn't it?
Mm.
Who shall ascend the Lord and who shall stand in his holy place? And that's the question. And then the answer. He's got a clean hands and a pure heart, does not lift up his soul to what is false. That's what Barry's version said, I think, and does not swear deceitfully.
Mm.
So what do you notice about the answer to that question? What's verse 4 talking about? What do you notice about verse 4? What's
That's a
clean hand?
pretty high standard to live up to.
Okay, so a possible standard, okay, and a high standard.
Yeah, I mean,
What
I don't know.
does clean hands mean?
I think clean of bloodshed. I think it's like it's interesting because the other one talks about lifting your soul up to what is false, which kind of implies false gods.
Yeah.
Which the Israelites would have known about, Asherah poles and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And swearing deceitfully. Yeah, so one's like what you do, your physical, one's your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one's your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
and maybe the last one's your character.
yeah, sort of got 3 levels to it.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's the general idea. So clean hands is, obviously not just I wash my hands before dinner, right? So the clean, theft, will be another example. Bloodshed, but anything you do that so that's a metaphor for that, right? Is sort of righteous living, but not only that, a pure heart. So that goes to motivations. Lift up his soul to what is false. That goes to, what am I attracted to? And does not swear deceitfully. Well, I'm not. Why would somebody do that? Well, to distort an outcome, to cause trouble for somebody else, or to try gain a personal advantage or something like that. So putting it all together, I've got here clean hands, pure heart, lover of truth, wanting to promote God's ways, not distort for personal gain. So someone who can ascend the hill of the Lord? Well, someone who really actually wants to be there and be like God. I think it kind of sort of who really wants to put God's ways into their own life, and be the person that God will want them to be. Any reactions to that, or any thoughts about that?
We did the young guys did a communion on Sunday about worthiness.
Right.
And this comes to mind about who is worthy. Sort of a bit behind that question in 3. And essentially no one is worthy.
Right.
Yeah.
I can see that. But you can certainly have, I wouldn't imagine there's many people that would have all those things, maybe David. Not often, not all the time.
Let's look at it from the point of view of being something that is devotional.
Yeah.
Amongst the people,
Yeah.
And even liturgical, something you might do as part of a service, but something in your own, in your own reflection, right? In your own devotion. So the idea of, answering that question, imagine if you asked that question and answered it sincerely, and that was the way you thought about getting your own interior sorted out. that could be pretty positive, I think, couldn't it? So just it's reminding. Maybe we could look at it in the way of reminding ourselves that, you know, maybe I am tempted to be a bit underhanded or cut some corners or not be quite truthful or, you know, not put some earnings in a tax return or whatever it happens to be. And I see these psalms sometimes as being a bit of a way to teach ourselves and to remind ourselves of the kind of person that God would like us to be.
So I think you touched on it a while back, Andrew. You used the word intentionality, and I remember that word because what this is alluding to is a way of life.
Yes.
And intent.
Yeah.
It's not about, well, I've lived wrongly and I've done bad things, I need to repent. It's more about how we live, how we think, our overall character. I
think that's right. Yeah. I think that's the way it's supposed to function. Got, you know, my clean hands. Well, they're pretty clean, but there's two black spots, one on this one and the you know, that is not helpful. But if we could think of it in terms of, this is our intent, this is how I want to be. I know I'm weak and I'm flawed and I'm imperfect and all the rest of it, but that's where I'm going. You know, that's where I'm going.
So we tend to think of, well, I do anyway, think of the hill of the Lord and the holy place as being heaven, but heaven's not sort of front and center in the Old Testament, is it?
That's right. That's right.
David's mind. So I wonder what he meant by that.
Well, I think it's a good question, Barry. I think it's the idea is the same. Where can I go and meet God? Right. So when you think what is a temple? What is a holy place? What makes it holy? Is that
God's presence.
God is there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And ascending the hill of the Lord. So we think of Jerusalem, you know, going up to Mount Zion there, or Moses going up to Mount Sinai. These are all meeting places between man and God. So I think I'm getting ready. I'm prepared. I'm getting ready to go and meet God, basically, is the idea. And you're right that those ideas of afterlife are not developed until after the close of the Old Testament, but it's getting ready to meet God, basically. And that's a good place to leave that part of it. All right, let's look on to the next bit. He will receive blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek the face of the God of Jacob. Lift up your heads, O gates, and be lifted up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. So we've just been talking about, you know, who may ascend the mountain of the Lord. Verse 5, such a one will receive God's blessing, being in right relationship with God. And it goes back to all those things we're talking about, having a heart, having a life. And I think what's interesting here, which is not stated, but it's not ritualistic, is it? You know, you can imagine a type of religion where you do these particular religious acts and that's what you do. Here it's talking about, no, it's your whole person, right? It's your heart and your action. So that may even be in some sense surprising as we're in the Old Testament here. But I think it is actually about the whole heart and the whole person. That's who God is really interested in. Not did you bring the 2 turtle doves today, the sacrifice. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek the face of the God of Jacob. So, again, that's intentionality, isn't it? You've got to want to do this. Those who seek are looking. So I wanted to see God.
Well, that includes some Gentiles, doesn't it? Certainly. I mean, Rahab, for example.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. And that's really interesting too, because then it's not even there, right? It's not about your ancestry. Although a lot of, is these little glimpses all through the Hebrew Bible, people like Rahab, who else? Maybe Naaman, I don't know. But there's these little glimpses all the way through. And Ruth is another, but that's the other perfect example. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So gates and doors. Gates and doors. What are we talking about here? Allowing the King of Glory to enter. What do you think this is all about?
It's sort of kingdom language, isn't it? Gates. You could allude to sort of like a kingdom, like a building, a large building.
It feels like a large building. Yep.
Yeah.
How large? Maybe even a walled city.
City gates.
Yeah.
City gates, yeah. Gates and doors, again, just parallelism. But why you got to lift it up? Lift up your heads. I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? Does a gate have a head, or maybe it's just maybe that's an poetic idea of, you're bowing down and you lift up your head to contemplate. I'm not sure about that, but what would the head of a gate be? I don't know. And be lifted up, because it might be something that's drawn up. It could be something that's opened outwards, I suppose. But maybe, I didn't check that. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? How did they build ancient gates and doors?
It's almost like a gate and a moat.
Various barriers to entry. Yeah, of that. And why lift up the gate?
I find it interesting that he's telling the gates and the doors to open so that God can come in. Was my automatic assumption is God's already there and it's us who want to come in. But it's the other way around. The gates and the doors have to open so God can come in.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. So that's a good perspective, isn't it? We're on the outside here. Or maybe we're not. Maybe we're on the inside waiting for the king to come in. So it's obviously opening the gate so a king can come in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question.
Could I just interject there? And I was just looking at the commentary in the. Mind if I read it out, Andrew?
Go for it.
So it's 24:7-10. This psalm, often set to music, was probably used in corporate worship.
Yeah.
It may have been reenacted many times at the temple. The people outside would call out to the temple gates to open up and let the King of Glory in. From inside, the priests or another group would ask, "Who is the King of Glory?" Outside, the people would respond in unison.
Right. The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Yeah, so that is a liturgical piece at that point, isn't it? Yeah, I did notice that in one or two of the commentaries that the psalm is that they're saying it's a bit of a composition of, because it kind of changes here at verse 7, and it's something that could have been used in a worship procession sort of idea. But I like that idea of there being this question answer again, right? Who is this King of Glory? Maybe other people are answering, the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Yeah. Now, and we'll reflect on this a bit later. Verse in Exodus talks about the Lord being a warrior, a battling king. And he's strong and he's mighty. So we'll talk a bit about that a little bit later on. So just have a think about that now. God being a warrior or being mighty in battle. Any other thoughts on this one?
I was thinking about Revelations 3 about, it says in verse 20, "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me." And it's the same sort of context in where is God in this, and part of the seekingness that was mentioned before. It's sort of an action of knocking. Anything in that?
Maybe, yeah. It certainly gives you that idea of the king being on the outside.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what it does underscore for me? You know what the king is not doing? He's not breaking down the door.
Yeah.
He's not breaking down the door. But kings did do that, right?
Yeah. It's a patience thing, isn't it?
Ancient warfare, you'd put the city under a siege until they all ran out of food, and then you'd get your battering rams and you'd get your siege engines and all this kind of stuff, and you try and knock the walls down or knock the door down. But this king's not doing that. He's waiting, and he needs to be let in. And I guess, and talking to the Laodicean Christians in Revelation 3 there, is, are you guys going to let him in where he should be, but he's not right now? Yeah.
Amen.
Very good. Very interesting.
I kind of think here this whole idea of glory being this strong, mighty, glorious king that leads his people in battle. Stands in the front. And he's fearless. It's the kind of image of what a kind of king they wanted to have.
That's right.
And leading their people. Not some humble, weak thing, but
okay.
That's not implied here. It's very much an image of mighty strength and
strength.
Very masculine image.
Very masculine, militaristic image.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's good. So the whereas we can think of Jesus, of course, was it Zechariah 7:7 or something like that, and coming in on a donkey, humble and riding on a donkey. Different kind of image there in the New Testament. Very good. Well, let's just press on to the last part. Okay, that's kind of it. So I missed the last few verses. But the last few verses are a repeat, aren't they? So look at 7 and 8 and lift up your heads, O you gates, lift up your everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. It could also be translated armies. He is the King of glory. So there's that same sort of, definitely a militaristic sort of image here. All right, so connections. So some commentators have pointed out this does seem to be similar, and I think Craig's passage was alluding to that, a procession. And one of the processions was the Ark of the Covenant, so a chest, not Noah's Ark, right? But it was a chest. It had the Ten Commandments inside and a few other things as well. And it had been captured by the Philistines and had been out of Israel for quite a period of time. And then in 2 Samuel, it's coming back into Jerusalem. And everybody I read seemed to always refer to this incident. So let's have a look at that. And then also, who shall ascend the hill of the Lord is a question that's already been asked in one of the other Psalms we've looked at, Psalm 15. So we'll have a quick look at those. So frequently asked questions. Psalm 15 says, O Lord, who shall sojourn in your tent? Who shall dwell on your holy hill? He who walks blamelessly and does what is right and speaks truth in his heart, does not slander with his tongue and does no evil to his neighbor, or takes up reproach against his friend. Psalm 25, we just read, says something very similar, doesn't it? Who shall ascend the hill of the Lord, and who shall stand in his holy place? He has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul to what is false and does not swear deceitfully. So my question here is, how can you see or imagine, how could a community of people use this form of question and answer? Hypophora.
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 Of course.
Why do you ask that? Yeah, so you can imagine a community like the Israelites or a faith community. So in your mind's eye, how do you see this might be played out?
Is this do you think it's for teaching their children? Yeah.
Could well be, yeah, that you could see that, couldn't you?
Asking, obviously the parents would instruct them as to who the Lord is.
Yes.
But, now and again they might say, well, who shall ascend the hill of the Lord to their children?
So you're driving in the car on the way to the on the way to the shops or something, and mum says or dad says, who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul and doesn't take up too much room in the back seat. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of, it's teaching themselves, isn't it? That's what it feels like, is that this be the kind of thing. And we don't really have this in our culture, do we? We don't have this question and answer response to train hearts and train ourselves. We're much more kind of didactic, like this almost, teaching, but we try and foster this because I think it's a great way to learn is questions and answers. And there may even be standard answers, which is what we're seeing here, I think. But yeah, it's a way we don't really do very well, I think in our culture, but I think there's something to it. And even
it's
depending on
it's a good way to teach you. You're posing the questions that people are thinking but are too afraid to ask, I guess.
Yeah.
So you make a statement, then you say, well, does this mean such and such? No, and because that's what the person might have been thinking.
And it draws out the thinking.
It's almost like a creed in a way, isn't it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
You can imagine there's standard questions and standard answers in a liturgical sense. Yeah. When I used to really poo-poo all that kind of stuff, but actually in my older age, I think there's some value in that, provided the heart is still engaged with it. If it's just rattled off, not so much. But yeah, I think there's some value in there.
I think to your point, asking better questions, Andrew.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Because good questions.
Segue.
10 points, son. You got a bonus point.
Good questions lead to
good questions lead to better answers. That's right.
And better answers and better discussions.
Better questions give you better answers. Very good.
Something like that.
Something like that. All right. So here's the procession of the ark. So this is the passage from 2 Samuel. And it was told King David, the Lord has blessed the household of Obed-Edom and all that belongs to him because of the ark of God. Now's a good time to go and get it. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with rejoicing. And when those who bore the ark of the Lord had gone 6 steps, he sacrificed an ox and a fattened animal. Stop there. And David danced before the Lord with all his might, and David was wearing a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the horn. And so the ark here is returning to Jerusalem after a long absence. And you can imagine them going up that hill, open the gates, here we come, and of course the ark is very much the symbol of God being with them. So that's maybe a little backstory to what's happening in the psalm here. So it's marking also the arrival of a victorious warrior king to his people, sort of idea. So, which leads me to the question for reflection: the Lord mighty in battle, Psalm 24:8. The Lord is a warrior, Exodus 15:3. What do you think about this warrior language? Referring to God. Let that sit for a little bit.
Andrew, if I could just point out something that I've noticed while people are thinking about that, and probably it exercises the importance of this, part in the conversation. So verse 7 and 8, we've got a chiasm there.
Right.
And obviously that middle of that chiasm is, who is the King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. So there is a real, there's a important factor right there.
Right. So it's putting emphasis on that particular line in the in the structure of the chiasm. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. To our 21st century mind, what do we think?
I find it a little bit difficult at the moment in light of the war that's going on, just even thinking about battle and war and warrior and glory. I mean, because in those days, what did it look like? It would have been, the hands wouldn't have been clean. It would have been very bloody and horrible. And even in light of what's happening in Gaza at the moment, I find it difficult to reconcile that image myself. I know that it's metaphorical, probably looking at, God fighting for us. But at the same time, the people would view it in both senses, I think. A God that would fight against the other nations and make Israel the victor.
Yeah.
So I find it a little bit difficult.
Yeah, thanks, Natalie.
I don't know. That's just only probably because of the present context of what's happening in the Middle East.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. That's kind of why I wanted to ask the question, because I thought, because the images are a bit difficult, I think.
I mean, maybe that's a Western mindset as well.
And you might feel differently about it if you were, living in 1000 BC and you had marauding kings.
Yes,
that was the way of life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think in our context, you've got to look at the context, because it's very easy to then dismiss it as God's just this warmonger. And I've heard my kids say that.
Right. So they notice that.
Yeah.
And that's negative for them.
Yeah. An angry warrior God.
Yeah.
At times. Not always, but at times.
Yeah, no, that's right. And that's kind of why I wanted to just highlight it a bit, because it's good to, I think, spend a little bit of time just thinking about these things, because we read that language and we can almost even gloss over it, because we kind of, if you've read it before or read it a number of times, we don't really stop and think about what's that actually saying? What's it glorifying? So I guess God is fighting for them to bring them a victory. And there does seem to be a connection between Israel's victories in battle and how faithful they were. And when they weren't, they lost. They got slaughtered. And there's a lot of slaughtering. How might we process this today? Is there a way that God is mighty in battle? But when you think, what is the role of a warrior? What's a warrior do?
For me, it's about God protecting me.
Fighting for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see myself, as part of the army.
Right.
I'm just the pleb in the fields doing the stuff.
Yeah.
And it's God who's fighting the battles for me so that I can feel secure doing what I do. And it's a bit like, you know, that hilarious thing where you walk around the city 3 times, you know, and you blow the horn and the walls fall down.
You should see what happens when you walk around 7 times.
Just, it's that kind of it's that kind of a ridiculous situation where I have no control over the major battles that are happening, but God is fighting them for me.
Yeah.
So therefore, it makes it a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just reading a definition here, a figurative definition. It says is frequently used metaphorically to describe people who demonstrate exceptional courage.
You mean a warrior?
Determination and resilience in various challenging situations. Warrior.
Yeah, and the warrior is not necessarily, you know, a gung-ho, bloodthirsty type. They're more the protector type, courageous protector type, as well. They're prepared to, and they know they might die in the process. They might do that. Yeah.
We'll go ahead before you know, to help go ahead before someone else to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. So yeah, I just thought it was good to spend a few moments just thinking about that and helping to process that, and it's very nuanced. I think even that there are a lot of wars and bloodshed in the Old Testament, but what they're looking forward to is peace, and sometimes there may not have been any alternative. It's either fight or die, you know. But sometimes they seem to be the aggressor as well. So there's some complexities there. I'm not going to solve them tonight, but it's good to, I think, just to reflect on that and within that context. Alrighty. So just to closing off, now just think about the whole psalm. So just think about this. There's an overall progression in the psalm. We started off God's sovereignty over creation, verses 1 and 2. Then the moral requirements for worshippers, 3 to 6, and then the victorious entrance of the King of Glory, 7 to 10. What can we learn here about worship? How could you use this psalm in your own devotional life? Just thinking about that overall pattern. Is there a way could you take that and use that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important for us to know who God is and what He requires of us, and that's clearly set out in this psalm. You know, He's a holy God. He's the creator of everything, and only those who have a pure heart can approach Him, really. And so
Thanks, James. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I know it was that format people used to follow for prayer, the Acts format. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and supplication.
Yep.
This is kind of like that, where you could actually pray to this. And talk about God as the creator. Everything is created. You can talk about your own life before Him. And in reference to the second part there, and then praise and worship, the last part.
Terrific.
There's one thing actually that's probably not part of the Acts is the celebration of the victory at the end.
Yeah, true.
You know,
true.
I think that
I don't use
really
I don't use it anymore. I used to use it.
Yeah, that celebration's really important to me. That victory.
Yeah.
You know, the victory of the resurrection, the victory against death. Those things, you know, cheer me up enormously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. celebration of the victory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thought? All right. So here's an example application. God's sovereignty. Take the time. So think of this as like a prayer pattern, if you like. So it starts with God's sovereignty. Take the time to connect with God, think about the creation, marvel at its vastness, its beauty, its perfection, which leads our thoughts to God. Because remember Psalm 19, right? That the heavens declare the glory of God. So that's a good way to, break from the day, calm our beating hearts, think about, well, God's sovereign here. He's made all of this order in chaos. Let the anxieties drip away. Get God big in our minds and in our hearts. And so dwell on that. Spend some time on that at the beginning, like the psalmist did first couple of verses. Then there's the moral requirements bit. So God wants his ways promoted in our world through his people. Surely our lives should become more and more godly as we draw near in worship. Reaffirm my commitment to grow in righteous living. Ongoing willingness to deal with sinful patterns in our lives. So there's a lot of different things sort of under that heading that we could aligning my life with what God's character is and everything that's involved with that. And then finally, the victorious entrance of the King. I read this. Worship is not about entering a place, but meeting the King. And then I guess cultivating that desire, and what Nerida was saying too, just the rejoicing in the victory. So it's a great way to end a prayer. So I thought, and I was reading that, I thought this has got to be something more here than just talk about parallelism. It's got to, and I think I think there is a devotional sort of pattern that we can maybe start to see in some of these psalms, which can help us in our own devotional lives. Is that helpful at all? Any of those sorts of thoughts there?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments anybody wants to make?
I think you could use the question answer format.
Yeah.
Also,
3 questions for you. Yeah. Yes, you could definitely. Yes.
To help yourself remember stuff.
Yeah.
Like a form of memorization.
You could write down your own questions and your own answers.
Yeah.
And then and teach yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can ask God, who am I?
I think a lot of talkback radio hosts do that. They write your own questions.
The host. So the host, Barry, the host in that verse is not a talkback radio host, by the way. It's a different. Just joking. All right, very good. So
where am I going?
What's that?
Who am I? Where am I going?
Where am I going?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful for you there. All right, so then my last question is, speaking of prayers that are patterns, does this feel a little bit like the Lord's Prayer to you? I found myself thinking that.
Kingdom come, thy will be done.
It is.
Yeah, it does, Andrew.
It does, doesn't it?
I hadn't thought about it, but looking at it, it certainly does.
It does. So maybe Jesus is onto something. So maybe there's something we can learn here about what is going to work well for a human heart
in the text.
Approaching God in prayer.
It is in the text.
You know, and so this reflects it. The Lord Prayer reflects it. There's a sense in which we've got to understand, you know, we come into God's presence, God's sovereignty, and one of the reasons we're really praying is because we need a bit of help, right? And then to be reflected on God at the end, and preparing to come into the presence of meeting the King. Yeah. Very good. All right, so final reflections. Yeah, any new insight for you from our discussion tonight? Always ask that question. How do you find yourself responding to this psalm? And what do you think? What did you think about that application exercise, or anything else?
I think the question and answer format, which I'd never really seen it, but not really understood it, or really sort of you've highlighted that.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite powerful in the way we approach our, prayer and thinking of scripture and our, meditation.
Yeah. I might have highlighted it, but I think Natalie underscored it.
Yeah, that's why I brought it. I brought it along tonight.
Yeah.
So she can add some value.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, I'd agree with Simon. I hadn't seen that before, and it's really helpful to have it pointed out.
Thanks.
There is one thing in a song we often sing in church at the moment, and the line goes, "I am who you say I am." And it's, speaking about who God says I am. And those questions, who is God and who can approach him? And there is one more question, who am I? And the answer is I am the person that God says I am. That, he makes all these promises to me about how he sees me. That I am, redeemed. That I am seen as pure. And those things, I think, are often, I don't put them in my prayers. I don't, praise God for declaring me in that regard. And it's, so when this psalm was asking all those who questions, I was thinking, I am who you say I am. It's sort of really encouraging.
Awesome.
And we're made the way God wanted us to be, with the talents that he wanted, and there's no point being envious of other people, because
yeah,
just be content with the way that we are. Not that we shouldn't try and improve, but yeah,
contentment.
I was trying to think back over the last three psalms we've done, 22, 23 and this one. And I just had to go back to 22 and just have a bit of starts off with a pretty dismal situation, forsaken me. And then he gets the confidence as being his shepherd in 23. And now in 24, he's making this ascent. He's, to a meeting place. It's an amazing trio when you put them together. So thanks, Kitch. It's been good.
Yeah, it's and sometimes I think there is a little bit about the arrangement of the psalms with respect to each other.
Yeah,
that kind of thing can go on. I think there's little sub patterns there. Sometimes I think you might have something in that. Yeah. Thanks, Phil. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think Sons of Korah did this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice to listen to.
Yeah, so Lisa, not everybody's probably heard this, but Lisa's brought to our attention the Sons of Korah. So they're a band, and they basically have created songs for, I don't know if they've done exactly all of the Psalms, but they've done an awful lot of the Psalms. So you can check them out on YouTube or whatever. Sons of Korah, Korah. Thanks, Lisa. All right. Very good. So yeah, that's been great. I appreciate everybody's thoughts on that tonight. I feel encouraged, and just all the feedback and the discussion and everything. So that's been terrific. And so next week we're going on to Psalm 25, which will be different again. So to all the rest, but that's it from me tonight. So I'm going to put you back to Craig. Over to you, mate.
Thanks, Kitch.
Thank you, Kit.